Guatemala, which is really mala when it comes to traffic. But no, really, we went to Guatemala because Guatemala has become very popular for tourism in the past couple of years. Everyone is going there, and we wanted to see what the rave is all about. We were also very inspired by one of our favorite YouTubers, Craig Adams, and so we wanted to go check it out. And one of the highlights of our experiences was definitely getting up close to the volcano Fuego, once in a lifetime opportunity, and then also spending a very relaxing time at Lake Atitlán, which is this beautiful lake that's surrounded by multiple volcanoes and mountains, and the weather is almost perfection.
So in this video, we are sharing our 2-week experience in Guatemala for 2 reasons. One, because we are obviously with our channel sharing things to the world, our experiences, and 2, to give you some tips and guidance so that you kind of know what to expect if you go to Guatemala yourself, such as like dealing with the traffic.
Yeah, is it worth it? Just like everyone in YouTube is making it seem? And will we live there?
Yes, this is a question that we always ask ourselves when we travel someplace. Would we live there? What are the pros and cons about that? Find out later in this video.
Let's start talking about traffic. Guatemala City is a city of 1.2 million people, and you would think, traffic might not be that bad. Well, no, it's horrendous. I think it's worse than Bogota.
I think it's similar to Bogota. I thought that Guatemala City was just a mini Bogota.
Nah, it was really bad. The infrastructure for the roads, it's just not there. They are also not as organized with public transportation, so there were just buses racing each other, and traffic was just chaotic.
It was chaotic. So here's what happened. We showed up during rush hour traffic, which was a big mistake, around 4 or 5 p.m. and it was a Friday night. And so we got in the car to go to Antigua, which Google says it's a 45-minute drive, but it took 3 hours.
No, even the driver said, I asked, hey, how long would it take us to get there? And he's like, well, when it's not rush hour, it's a 45-minute drive. However, it is Friday, 5 p.m., so it would take us 3 hours. I thought he was just exaggerating.
But it did.
However, it did take 3 hours.
So if you show up to Guatemala and you're trying to get to Antigua, which is a common destination, I suggest showing up at like midnight or on some weird hour. So
midday, if you show up at rush hour, I think it's worth it to spend the night in Guatemala and then depart the next day.
City.
Yeah, in Guatemala City, in the city, and then depart the next day, because traffic really is that bad. Same when you're coming back from either Antigua or Lake Atitlán and you have a flight to catch.
Yeah.
Make sure that you have at least a day to plan for the really bad traffic.
So Antigua, the city of Antigua is a very touristy location for a good reason, because it was the old capital of Guatemala, which is why it's called Antigua, old in Spanish. Duh. But it is a charming place and yet somewhat disturbing place in my opinion, because it's charming because of all the colonial architecture and how long the church is, and everything has been there for like hundreds of years. But if you do any type of tour or history tour or anything like that, it's like you learn that, hey, this city has a ton of different churches because they were aggressively converting Mayans for years and years and years, and the indigenous peoples. And you can still feel the tension in the air, actually, in the city. Like, I felt like, oh, it kind of still is there. It's like people have accepted it more now, but it's kind of like that thing that Anthony Bourdain says, it's that colonial hangover that still exist inside Guatemala. So that's kind of how I felt about Antigua, but that didn't mean we didn't enjoy our experience. It was pretty awesome. They had one of the most beautiful McDonald's I've ever seen.
The Starbucks, every single store, restaurant inside, it's very beautiful. On the outside, it may look just like a cute colonial house, but inside, everything kind of like surprises you. And it's very approachable, very cozy, very beautiful.
Sometimes you would look outside and be like, I don't know if I should walk in there, but that is actually an indication that you should go in and see what's going on and check out the shops. And it was actually, that was so charming. You know, it's become a big marketplace now. Every single one of these buildings has a little courtyard inside of it. down. This is the artisanal market, and they always had typically, well, not all of them, some have two courts, right? One was for the slaves. Is that what I understand?
Yeah, one is for the family, the other one is for the slaves.
The slaves are the servants.
The servants.
Servants. I don't know if they were slaves or just servants, but
That's normal.
that's the life we want.
But the prettiest one is...
How are we gonna get that life? We have like our own court
No one else. You,
and
our
servants.
kids will be our servants.
There we go.
Let's have like 10 kids like will serve us.
To our future children. That's why you exist. So that's court number 1. You thought I was joking. And court number 2. So this.
Accommodations. Most of the accommodations, hotels, Airbnbs are in the city center in the downtown of Antigua. However, we decided to stay a little bit on the outskirts, really close to Cerro de la Cruz, because we've read a lot of reviews of other places being really noisy. And you have to think about that Antigua is a World Heritage City, so because of all the colonial architecture, all buildings are 1 or 2 levels. And also you have all the cobblestone, which
is just like when the cars go over cobblestone, it's just like, I mean, how do I describe that noise? It's just annoying. It's loud. And, you know, it's also these tiny like colonial sidewalks that are literally this thin, and you can't walk side by side each other. So you're just confronted with all this traffic and honking, and like, it was just kind of chaotic being in the actual city, but we were far enough away from it in an area where like the road ended, so we didn't get any of that traffic, which was awesome. But I could totally see how that would be irritating to sleep at night, because there are people driving all times a day and night. Like, it just was endless.
Yeah, and I was expecting to maybe have some streets have closed off to traffic, because in a lot of other countries, places that are considered those like that type of heritage, they tend to close off some of the streets only for pedestrians. However, it is not the case in Antigua. It's very loud when it comes to cars and the buses, and you see a lot of it.
Yeah, it's a little overwhelming.
Let's stop the complaining and let's start with the fun things. What did we do?
We went and saw the arch.
Santa Catalina Arch.
Of course, we had to get a picture. It was like the most typical thing to do. We also went to La Cruz.
Cerro de la Cruz, the lookout.
A few times, you know, just to watch the sunset and see Agua, the volcano. Agua. And then we also went to the coffee farm.
We went to coffee farm.
Finca La Azotea.
Good job.
Oh, I got it. I'm trying to remember these names. I thought that was awesome. The coffee in Guatemala is freaking good. I was very pleasantly surprised by the coffee selections and their ability to grow coffees. And that was a great coffee farm with an awesome museum, just taking you through the history of coffee. And then you get to try some coffee and see the operations. Highly recommended if you're a coffee drinker.
And highly recommended too if it's coffee season, which I forget when it is, when the harvest season, because they are like full running the operation.
Yeah.
And it's really cool.
The other thing that I really enjoyed was going and getting groceries at the market, because we did stay in Antigua for about a week, and we needed groceries and we didn't want to eat out the entire time. And it was just cool to see this chaotically large market and navigate.
One of the largest ones we've ever been to.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It's easy to get lost.
Yeah, we're gonna post a different video just doing a vlog on our experience of that. We've recorded the experience, but it was cool to go there. I really enjoyed it. And we got avocados. We got 5 for a hand. Or what did she say?
Yeah. But she kept saying 5 for a hand, 5 por la mano. And I was like, what do you even mean? Like what? I don't understand. And not until someone else came and buy avocados, I understood that it was 5 quetzales for 5 avocados. Since your hand has 5 fingers, 5 for the hand.
Which at the time I did the math and I was like, oh my gosh, it's like 5 avocados for $2. So I was very happy about that.
Yes, groceries were super affordable and delicious and fresh. Excellent experience. And then obviously we went up and saw Fuego, the volcano. We went up Acatenango, the dormant volcano, and saw Fuego, an active volcano where you can see it erupting, and it's everything that the people on the internet tells you about. It's amazing, it's incredible, it's a once in a lifetime experience, but it's also really hard.
Yeah, I thought it was a tough experience, but also a beautiful experience because you feel the ground shake. You see it explode like every 10 or 15 minutes. But what made it so tough was like you show up and we did it the easy way. We did not hike it.
We cheated.
We drove up to like the easiest part, to the top of the mountain where we just walked the flat part and figured out where we camped. It was like a 20-minute walk. So there were other people who hiked, right? So
the entire way, which is like 6 hours.
Yeah, that would be incredibly tough because once you get there, they're like, hey, you're gonna do this hike and you have to go down and up to get really close to the volcano. And what you don't realize, and I think I wish I had known, was that there would be a line of people, like a caravan of people, just consistently flowing and doing that hike every hour of the day, even in the middle of the night. So we started the hike at about 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
And we finally got to the volcano at like 8 or something like that. And it was cold and there was ash and unfortunately it was raining for us a little bit. We were still able to see the explosion and stuff, but it was like a really tough hike because it was sandy. People were moving slow. That's a big deal for me on hiking. I love hiking and I typically move faster than most people that I see on the trail.
Especially going up.
Yeah.
We go down really slow, which is when people want to speed up because it's easier, but we do want to protect our knees. We've had issues and we go down really slow. But when it comes to going up, we like to move it. Like we both are very good at going up. However, it's very busy, and so there is just one trail, and there are parts where you come across with the people that are coming down, and it's like blocked.
It's traffic. It's people traffic. I think this is a big criticism of how much tourism they're getting to that volcano. They need to make 2 routes, one going up and the other going down, so that there's not so much of that confrontation of like bumping into each other and people waiting. If you're part of the tourism board in Guatemala and you actually happen to watch this, then you need to
people need to figure it out because it is kind of aggravating and it adds up to all of the external things that are happening in terms of environment. It's also really dark, which is what you need to see the eruption, and they give you these like really bad headlamps.
We had our own,
which it was helpful for us, but for other people it was hard to see. Yeah, it was very difficult to see because it's pitch black, and so like sometimes you look out to the side and it's like, ooh, there's what's that called when it's just ooh.
It's a cliff and
there you go.
You could just fall and lose your footing and fall to your death. I know we're saying a bunch of negative things about this, but it was actually worth it, even dealing with that pain, because of just seeing the volcano. I mean, it is impressed in my mind. I mean, we've seen volcanoes explode on TV and the news and other people recording their experience, but to actually be there and to see it right in front of your face is like
and the earth shaking.
There's just nothing else to describe it. Yeah, and the earth shaking, it's exhilarating, and I'm so happy that we did it.
Yeah, it's incredibly beautiful. However, it was very sad to see how many people are flooding the mountain. And I mean, I'm fine with that. But people do not take care of these places. They throw trash. So there was like toilet paper everywhere because they don't have bathrooms. Mm-hmm. They don't have also proper systems to discard this type of trash. And there are places where it's just very dirty, and that's very heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Because how long are they going to be able to keep this up before it's a mayhem? Before something happens in the mountain. Yeah.
It's hard turning into mayhem.
So although it's a very beautiful experience, try and do the research very well as to when you can go. That is maybe low season, like shoulder season, so you don't encounter as many people. Also go with a well-known agency that are going to take care of you and that are also going to take care of the mountain. So they have systems for trash management and taking care of a place.
Now that I'm standing here and the sun is obviously rising, right, I can see exactly where we hiked to. So we went down, of course, and then we went up to here. And I'm gonna zoom in, and like we were up there with all those people that close to this freaking volcano. There was like stuff all over our jackets, like the ash and rain. And there was we had rain last night, so it was pretty intense, really intense. After Antigua and Fuego, we went to Atitlán, which is this lake that is surrounded by all these different volcanoes, and it is one of the most beautiful sceneries you will ever experience. The weather is also like, I would say, perfect. It felt like it was in 70s the entire time. It got a slightly chilly at night, which was awesome. You had to put on a sweater.
Yeah.
We stayed there for only 3 nights, right next to the lake in a really awesome Airbnb.
It was moderate Airbnb. Yeah. The view was incredible.
The view was awesome. It was like a normal just an Airbnb, but like it was just so awesome to be like open up the door and then you're outside and you just see this beautiful lake right there. And it was right by the kayak place where we can go get some paddle boards. So I loved our experience that we had. Because we just wanted something relaxing to really appreciate the beauty of it, because we had seen so many reviews about this lake, especially from Craig Adams. He's gone there a couple times.
Yeah, he proposed to his wife there, and it was this beautiful background scenery of a mountain. And I was like, I want to go there.
Yes.
And you didn't propose to me.
Yeah, because we're already married.
Doesn't matter.
Will you marry me again?
You had to do it in Atitlán.
Because we gotta go back.
Te amo, mi amor. We decided to stay in Santa Cruz, La Laguna, because reading about all the different towns, I read that it was one of the more quiet ones. There was not a lot of party, and also we found an affordable Airbnb in that town.
Yes.
But we decided to visit other towns. We visited San Juan. We visited the
San
hippie
Marcos.
one, San Marcos. And I think we did another one.
San Pedro?
I think so, yes. I can't remember the names, but they are all very similar, but also very different.
Very different. Yeah, it was awesome to see the different colors. You can tell that tourism is starting to really pick up in the region more and more and more, which I think the locals are actually happy about. They seem very, very happy to have all this tourism. So I think it's going to pick up more and more and more. I wish we had more time there actually to see all the different towns and spend a little more time in each one to kind of get the whole vibe of it. I wish we had also stayed longer to do some of the hikes that are in the area. But if you know, I feel like I say this about every place that we visit. It's like, I want to go back so that I can do all the things I didn't make time to do or realize that there was to do.
But Guatemala is definitely a place where I want to go back.
Yes. Even though we got to deal with some traffic.
We'll plan better next time.
Cars and people.
When nobody tells you about this.
Yeah.
Nobody. I watched tons of videos. Nobody mentioned how bad the traffic was going to be. And it's
sucks.
horrible. It's horrible. You don't want to be miserable, so plan accordingly so you don't have to be stuck on a car for 3 hours.
If you think the traffic's great, comment below. Let us know what you think of It was a beautiful experience. We paddleboard. I loved it. Want to totally go back there. It was awesome. I loved it.
It is worth all the hype. However, another thing that I would like to bust is another myth. People say a lot that is cheap. I don't think that tourism in Guatemala is cheap. Groceries are very cheap. If you go to the market, you can find very affordable food. However, eating out was almost as expensive as eating in the States.
I thought so, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, eating out was like just about as expensive, especially in Antigua. But again, we went to the market, to the grocery store, the market, and that was very affordable. If you were just to eat there, do groceries there, to do groceries
Yeah.
there. But eating out, I thought was just as expensive as the
Pretty
U.S.
expensive. Also, activities are expensive. So going to the volcano, you do need money. You need to plan for that. And just any of the activities, they cost money, and they do the
$100,
cost adds
$200
up.
per person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
per person.
Yeah.
And so I thought that it was even more expensive than doing activities in places like Chile, Patagonia. So going to Pacaya volcano, which we did not do, is another hike that you can do. It was about $200 per person, and it's a much easier hike than doing Torres del Paine. In Torres del Paine, we paid $60 per person, with hiking poles included, lunch.
It was like a 10-hour day. It was
Yes.
a 10-hour thing.
And so activities are expensive, and eating out is expensive. So plan and budget accordingly as well.
So, Winnie, would you live in Guatemala?
I would not live in Guatemala. No. If I'm gonna deal with really bad traffic, I would rather do it in Bogota. But Guatemala is a place I would go back and go back and go back. It's a very beautiful place. We actually visited with my brother and some of his friends, and one of them, she had been to Europe, Morocco, some incredible places, and for her, Guatemala is her favorite place.
Yeah.
And I can agree with her. It's very beautiful. You being able to see the 3 different volcanoes from Antigua, it's a sight that you cannot forget. It's something beautiful. Same with experiencing Fuego and Lake Atitlán. It's something very memorable. It's very pretty.
Yeah.
Would you live there?
No. We did say one night in Guatemala City, and I just felt like it was kind of small. We're used to like bigger cities with millions of people, not 1.2 million people. So like I think our experience, we enjoy bigger cities that have a bigger, wider variety of international cuisines and
things to do.
Much more grocery store options. Just the modern conveniences of being in a large city is what we really like. We tend to enjoy, and we feel like we thrive better in big cities. So Guatemala just felt too tiny, but I would love to go back and do some of the things we didn't have time to do. There were a lot of other hikes to do. Show up with money so that we could afford them, and be prepared and just take a deep breath for the traffic, or just show up in the middle of the night where you know you're gonna pass all the traffic. Yeah.
Although we will not live in Guatemala, we will definitely visit like we have said, because the food is also really good. I love the fighter tortillas that they have. They are delicious. They have a ton of plantains on their dishes, and I love sweet plantains.
Yeah, the tortillas, like everywhere you went through the whole country, even driving, going through the small towns, you saw like ladies sit out, in front of the restaurants making their tortillas every single place. And I didn't realize how much of that I was going to see, and I thought it was a very unique thing to witness and experience. So we ate tortillas every time we ate out because they were just there and being made fresh right in front of your face. I thought that was pretty cool.
I love corn. Like I love corn. I love arepas. So eating tortillas was like the highlight. No, the food is really good.
And there was also that soup that was like a pipián, which I really liked because it tasted like a watered down-ish salsa. That's what it tasted like to me. Yeah. But I like spicy food, so I was like, oh, this is like a spicy soup. I really enjoyed it. It was good.
It was delicious.
Well, that's a wrap for our 2-week stay in Guatemala. I hope it was helpful. We tried not to complain too much about the things that annoyed us, but you know, I think it's important to put out into the world, like, hey, you're
They're
going to
real
have this
things.
experience. Yeah, these are
They're
the real
real
things.
things because nobody tells you this. Like
No.
I've said before, I watched hundreds of videos, not hundreds, but I watched quite a few, and no one mentioned the bad things. So we just want you to be prepared.
Yeah. So comment below, let us know what we missed out on if you visited Guatemala many times yourself, and if you're Guatemalan yourself, you know, let us know. Let us know your thoughts. We appreciate your time watching. Until next time, peace out.
Mini.
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 Mini, mini, mini. Mini, mini.
Mini.
Mini, 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 mini. Wants food. Wants this right here. Es que tú quieres. ¿Te gusta la carne?
La carnecita.